Hello, Janet Wilson here from Write for a Reason and Dernier Publishing. Today I've got a writing tip for you about using the first person narrative voice instead of the third person narrative voice. I've got some slides for you, so let's go right on over and take a look at them. Oh, let's go back to the beginning. There we go at last. So 5 reasons to choose the first person narrative. Of course, the choice is yours when you're a writer. Stories are either usually narrated in the first person, that's I, me, or we, or the third person, he, she, or it. Neither's right or wrong, they're just different. The choice is yours. If you go over to your bookshelf and have a look at some of the books, you'll find that some are written in the first person and some in the third. Just in case you're not absolutely sure which is which, I've got a sentence from a book to read for you. This first one is from the book Revenge of the Flying Carpet, and this is written in the first person. So here we see the narrator, which is the young lad, saying, "I bent down to stroke the carpet and asked it, but there was no reply. Now I've written that, it does sound really stupid, but in my defense, it did feel like it had something to say to me." So you see the lad is saying I and me. And here is a couple of sentences from a book written in the first person. In this case, the young lad called Ben is not the narrator himself, as you'll see. "Thank you," said Ben, as he put the sweets in his pocket. Every Saturday he took his pocket money to the shop and bought his peppermints. They were his favourite type of sweets, and he chose them every week. You see that here the narrator is in the third person. He's writing about Ben from outside. So he's saying he did this and he did that. Whereas the other young lad was saying I did this and I did that. I'm sure you knew that anyway. So here, let's go with our 5 reasons for choosing the first person narrative voice. Reason number 1 is you may have a particularly interesting voice. For example, Harper Lee wrote To Kill a Mockingbird from the viewpoint of a child. Scout has a fascinating viewpoint to share with her readers, which has a big impact on the way the story comes over. If you haven't read it yourself, I very much recommend you get a copy and read it. Your story might also have a character who, if the story was written from his or her point of view, would be fascinating for readers. So do consider that as an option. Reason number 2 is diary style. So if you're writing a diary style story, writing in the first person is the obvious choice. Louise Renison wrote the very famous Confessions of Georgia Nicholson. There were about 25 books, I think, in the series, selling millions of copies all over the world. And she wrote this in the first person. Georgia is a strong character with plenty of opinions and shocking revelations, which she freely shares with her readers. So readers feel as if they're privileged confidants of the person who is writing the diary. So if you're writing a diary style story, of course, you're going to be writing it in the first person. Reason 3 for choosing the first person narrative voice is for rapport. So writing in the first person can bring us so much closer to the thoughts and feelings of your main character. So if your readers are likely to strongly identify with the protagonist, that if they're the same kind of age, the same sex, its interests and background, culture and so on, you might choose to write from the first person. And this the aim of this would be to bring your readers so close they could almost be that person, which is really a wonderful way to engage with the story. Reason 4 is having a strong voice. So if your story has one main character who dominates your story, for example, an action hero who's saving the whole world with his own hands, you might like to write the novel from their point of view in the first person. And it could be great fun, especially if readers can see beyond what the protagonist is actually saying, and they can understand, they get the background themselves. So a very good, a good fun way to use the first person. Reason 5, if this is your first novel, the first person is an excellent way to start. We're used to telling stories from our own point of view, so writing in the first person can be a good choice for beginners. If you've never written a novel before, but if you keep a diary, or if you enjoy writing letters, writing in the first person is a good starting point. So I hope you found that helpful. Next week, I thought we'd take a look at some reasons you might wish to write your novel in the third person. So quite different. Here's a wonderful quote from a writer called Philippa Gregory. She says, "I have a great liking for the first person narrative because it gets the reader into the head of the character. It takes the reader back in time with a sense of immediacy that makes them feel like they are there." And I think that's absolutely right. So thanks for being here with me today. You can contact me on our website, on our Facebook page. Come over to writeforareason.com, leave a comment, have a look at lots more writing tips, and sign up if you wish to receive writing tips on a regular basis straight into your email. Okay, that's great. See you next week. Bye for now.